Hello and welcome to the MiamiHal Real Estate Show. It is Thursday at 2 o'clock. Well, a little bit later. Sorry about that. And I have somebody that I've been trying to get on the show for quite a while, Karyn Cunningham, the mayor of Palmetto Bay. Thanks so much for coming by.
Thank you for inviting me. I don't remember you trying to get me on here for a long time.
Oh, we started back in COVID. I'm sure it's cloudy at this point, your memory, but I'm thrilled to have you on because we want to talk about Palmetto Bay, and who better than you, the mayor.
Awesome.
To chat about some things. So I also will remind our audience that if you have questions, type into the social media platforms that you're on right now. We'll look up from time to time, and if there's good questions, we'll get those in as well. But I'm going to start right here. One of the things that I really am very interested in Palmetto Bay about is the fact that there's some development that potentially is going to continue to happen in the downtown district. And I, almost 10 years ago, was involved with one of the early citizen-enabled groups called the Downtown Development Task Force that kind of looked at what should go down there and how should commercialism be brought into the village of Palmetto Bay so that there were things to live, work, and play. And this is something you want to talk about as well. And I think that we've been through several versions of what could be down there. Yeah. And there's been some bumps and bruises with personalities and changing of code. So what I'd like to do is not talk directly about that, because you've had your platform to do that with so many people, and it tends to cause friction. But more, what I'd like to do is look at what Cutler Bay has done, the town to the south of Palmetto Bay, and have your opinion as to, based on what they're doing, what Palmetto Bay should do in concert or in contrast with what their development has been.
Right. So, and thanks for the question, because you're right. This is one of those questions that you're not going to make everybody happy.
Right.
You know, there's going to be some people that want absolutely nothing, and there's going to want others that want, deep and dense and tall. And I think what we've kind of done over the last couple of years, right after I became mayor, we did a series of many, many meetings. I think it was up there 17, 18, 19 meetings to reach consensus on how we could change the code to better fit, I think, really what the council wanted, but also the perception and the desires of our village. Maybe bigger than, and I didn't realize you were initially involved, but maybe bigger than that initial charrette, because that was quite some time ago, but certainly smaller than the code that we passed in 2015, right after I got on the council. So we've done a pretty decent job, I think, in bringing down height, condensing the density component. We've looked at some other more intricate kind of code ordinances, gross versus net. That's kind of on the back burner for now. But overall, I consider the changes that we made really a huge success. And the reason why I say that, it's not something you can see, right? If you're looking right now, you might say, how is that successful? But of the applications that are coming in now, the large majority of them are meeting the code, the new code. So that's good news. That means when you have people that are submitting applications, developers, architects, attorneys, submitting applications under the new code, I think we kind of found the fit, or at least the fit for now. Because, it can be a moving target. This could change, going down the road.
As you bring up moving target, this is what I find very interesting, because
I'm not moving.
We talked about, as the show started, that you really shouldn't move a lot because the camera angles change. But yes, the moving target aspect of building a downtown area to Palmetto Bay. And as we both said, there's been several versions of this, and code has changed. And I think that a lot of people, when they look at the issue in potentially the wrong way, they go, oh, well, this person did that, and the other person did that, and Karyn did this. And I think that maybe the word we, as in council, should be used more often rather than pointing the finger directly at one person.
Sure. And I was a part of the council in 2015 when we passed the first code. And then you kind of sit back and watch. And what we saw, at least this is only in my humble opinion, and I've said it on the dais as well, what we saw coming in were people taking advantage of the bonuses, right? A lot of the development was taking advantage of bonuses. That was increasing height, taking advantage of incentives that really had no formula. We've eliminated incentives. That increased density and, just the overall number of units. And you see that in some of the buildings that are there. We also had a big issue, as you kind of hindsight's 2020, but some of the development had large issues with parking, and hopefully time will tell, but hopefully we've eliminated some of those issues as it relates to parking by building in the parking necessary for the downtown area as people choose to develop their properties.
What I found interesting is I believe it was around 2015, the planning department of Palmetto Bay, and I believe at the time the name Darby DeSalle was involved, they actually won a national award for the changes to the code. And as an early person that really paid attention to what was going on, I was proud of what Palmetto Bay had accomplished. Oh my God, not only did we come up with something good here, but national recognition thereof. And now we've got at least one change and probably two or three if I really look at it in detail. Why do you feel like there needed to be a change after in 2015 you kind of approved what was there? Why are the changes happening? You mentioned some of them, but is this your opinion, or do you believe that this is what the citizens of Palmetto Bay are after? And do you believe you have consensus among council for that as well?
So I think there were multiple questions there. So
Yes.
I'm going to answer yes, yes, and yes.
Okay,
Yeah, no.
Good. That's an easy answer then.
Yeah. So I don't remember all the questions, but do I think it's a combination of do I think the council supports it? You'd have to ask them individually, but we have two new members on council.
Right.
But yes, I do believe the majority, because it passed, right? At that time, I think the new code passed 4-1. So 4 council members supported it, 1 did not. I do believe that the 2 new council members, and this is only based on, what you hear, right? You have to be observant while you're on up having the dialogue, as our residents are observant as well. I think there is support for the size we have. I know originally you had asked, how does it compare with Cutler Bay? I don't like to compare to the other cities. Cutler Bay is slated, and I have a great relationship with Tim. We don't agree on all the issues, but we have the South Dade Coalition of Mayors is strong. We actually have a meeting a little bit later this afternoon. They are slated for much larger development. That's something that I guess their council supports. Their residents, I would assume, must support it. Otherwise, their council wouldn't be there. And, we're a different beast. I don't want to be a canyon, right? But you also, the residents of Palmetto Bay want none to modest development.
And what's really interesting, you said it in a different way, but I remember, I forget who I'm quoting, but during that Downtown Development Task Force, there was a quote by somebody and they said, Cutler Bay and Pinecrest straddle Palmetto Bay, and it's almost like we're the donut hole of downtown development. And so, of course, the challenge and the expectation of that group was to find some way to fill the hole to the right level so that there was development. And it seems like your eyes are on the ball, and sometimes there's disharmony in how people see that, which kind of leads me into my next question.
Okay.
I tend to look from the outside.
Okay.
Obviously, you're directly inside. And from the outside, you look at, again, the straddling towns to the north and south of Palmetto Bay, and you see relative harmony, where you don't have council people that are publicly contradicting each other. Yet for several terms in Palmetto Bay, so predating you as well, there's been a lot of disharmony, or at least that's the perception that a lot of people have. How do you kind of understand that to have come to be? And do you see some way to kind of get back to business, or at least head back to business, and hopefully find a way to, lessen the disharmony?
So I think we are back to business,
Okay.
honestly. I think our two new council members are welcome additions to the village council. Again, we don't always agree, but we, at least in my opinion, for the most part, the council members that we currently have can agree to disagree, or at least disagree without being disagreeable. I can't explain the past. One of the reasons why I got involved with local government was because of the discord. I was hoping that, and it's really one of the reasons why I ran for mayor, that it would, I could bring a different leadership style. I'm not, taking shots at anyone's leadership style, but just bring a different leadership style. I do try to lead by consensus. Again, the longer you're connected with public service, you realize you're not going to please everybody, but you do best you can.
Yeah.
You mentioned the downtown code. That's one of the things that we led by consensus. It was painful, right? To go through 20 meetings, line by line in an ordinance to try and make changes, and you can't vote on it during those workshops. So you'd kind of have to be observant and see, okay, this is going to meet, at least 3 members or 4 members of the council will support this. So yeah, I think, you do the best you can little by little.
You feel like we're back to business in Palmetto Bay?
I think we're 200% back to business in Palmetto Bay.
Great.
Yeah.
So there are hot button issues that we hear about in Palmetto Bay all the time. And I'm going to avoid the direct questions because, again, it's going to breed difficulty during the conversation.
I'm used to difficulty. I don't know if you knew that, Hal.
I think I've got a sense of that. But I want to talk to you about a couple of things. One is some people are describing as a mega sidewalk, which is a county project along 136th Street. And it obviously borders both Palmetto Bay and Pinecrest. That's underway. And I think that while there was a bunch of people complaining, and it tends to be a lot calmer right now, and the project is moving along, and I haven't heard of anything being behind schedule or difficult. The other one, which is in our near-term sites, is the 87th Avenue Bridge, which, if you don't know, is a county project. Those of you in the audience, it's a county project. The idea is to try to get traffic moving better than it does. And we all know that traffic is a problem, not only in Palmetto Bay, but everywhere, not only in South Florida, but across the United States at this point.
Sure.
And it was their, best estimate that opening up a bridge on 87th Avenue would relieve some of that traffic. I have my own opinions about what could or should be done. I'm sure you do. And the idea is to represent the best thing for the community. And while I have heard for years everybody's opinion, I also hopefully step back and look at this more academically, which is when the grid was originally laid out for Miami-Dade County, they didn't just make up a grid, they consulted with a lot of people as to how to do it right. And that's why we have primary, secondary, and tertiary roads. So this is a change to that in the county's mind, making 87th Avenue more toward primary than it's been in the past. So my question to you is, what do you think is the right thing to do there? And I'm asking you for your personal opinion, not necessarily how you're representing people. And then there is a meeting, which I think is a last minute thing that the county's coming up with on Wednesday, December 15th. To have yet another meeting about this, but it's a foregone conclusion unless I'm missing something. So
let me double back because
a lot of information.
That was a lot of information. So, well, first of all, if I could,
sure.
I think all of the good and the bad fall under 4 categories, and I always say, one of the reasons why I'm here is I want to make Palmetto Bay a better place to live, work, learn, and play. I think the budget that we recently passed for this fiscal year represents live, work, learn, and play. We've got, for example, in the live category, We're dedicating quite a bit of dollars to a sub-basin, and I will get to your questions.
No problem.
But the sub-basin design so that we have stuff in place so that we can do outreach for money to the state, right? Because the state likes these shovel-ready projects, right? We were able to get $150,000 this last budget cycle. We did notice Cutler Bay and Pinecrest got significantly more. Want to be able to, they have shovel-ready, design-ready projects. So water infrastructure, sub-basin infrastructure is really key. We ended up with a very old infrastructure system from the county, right? When we incorporated 20 years, because we're celebrating our 20th year anniversary coming up in September. So the sub-basins, the pathways throughout the city, whether we're paying for them or they're county projects. We had a small contribution in the 136th Street multi-use lane, road remilling, paving, all that other good stuff. We made a huge effort to work with all of the residents, even though it is a county project that will hopefully improve the appearance and the use of 136th Street, the pathway component. We met with, as a matter of fact, it was our new manager, who I haven't mentioned, Nick Morano, his 1 year anniversary. I think it was November 9th.
Wow.
So
that was quick.
It was a
he
quick
actually
year.
appeared here a couple weeks ago on my show. And
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, very forthcoming as to what's going on and what he wanted to do.
Yeah, he really is a bright light. I'm so happy to have him there. It was his first day on the job, and I told him, listen, I've arranged for meetings up and down 136th Street. So we took specific areas where you could get together 5, 6, 7, 8 neighbors on the street so that they could, this was before the work had actually started, so that we could take a look at sidewalk, the pathway or the sidewalk, and people's privacy hedges. And we were able to maintain, and that was working with the county.
Maintain a good deal of the privacy.
That's why you see the kind of meandering.
Right. It's not a straight line.
Not a straight line, which I think is kind of nice.
I think
it seems village-esque,
yes.
In my opinion. So pathways, another thing that we've focused quite a bit of attention to. It's a part of our strategic plan. It was a part of our visioning session. 136th Street was already in the works, but there's other pathways we're looking at now in the village. Sidewalk repair is another, big. People want to be able to make their way, and that could be live, could be play, right? People just want to be able to get from spot to spot. And then drain, making sure that we have our drains cleaned. A couple of years ago, we were only spending about $25,000 with no real plan in place. Interim manager Greg Truitt, who was there for 1 year, was able to work
prior our police chief,
and prior our police chief, another really great guy, a resident of Pinecrest. We're able to put in a 3-year plan for drainage. Also working on our CRS, which is the community rating system, kind of piggybacking off of Cutler Bay. They've done some really great work there. We've been able to move our rating down to an 8. Hopefully that will show some money in people's pockets down the road. So a lot of good, positive things. Quality of life, though, is also an important component of live, work, learn, play, right? People live in Palmetto Bay, and nobody probably knows this better than you, right? Because you're speaking with homeowners that are trying to move other places, and then
people trying to move in.
And it's a difficult thing to do now because we've become a very popular location.
I'll break away for that.
Oh,
so
please.
My statistics, which I do approximately every week, show that throughout the entire area, but particular to Palmetto Bay, that we have very low inventory. In a typical average market, not a buyer's market, not a seller's market, you have 3 to 6 months worth of inventory at the price points that Palmetto Bay typically is in. We have been under 2 months for quite a while in Palmetto Bay. And right now we're at 1.4 months of inventory. So
that's good
what
news.
it means is not a lot of homes on the market.
Right.
And when they do go on, the good ones have multiple offers, and it's driving up prices, as we all have experienced.
Yeah, and
So-
that is good news. And
Yeah.
why do people move to Palmetto Bay? We have great schools, great recreational opportunities. It's just a overall beautiful city. I know you were a resident there for many years.
Yeah.
And, to whatever capacity there are, some people are willing to make the sacrifice to commute and travel, right? Because they want to live in the village.
Yes.
And other people, we're seeing more and more businesses open. The work component during the pandemic, over 100 businesses opened in the Village of Palmetto Bay. That's pretty cool. Some of those are home-based.
Reporting that over 100 businesses opened during COVID.
During COVID,
And
there
I
was
don't think
very
many other
little
areas could say
attrition
that.
in the business community. I want to say in some cases more businesses were people opening businesses from home, right? Because they're working from home. So why not? But we also saw some businesses bringing services to the residents in Palmetto Bay opening up. So quality of life, I'm going to go back real quick to quality of life, because the issues that you're talking about are quality of life issues. The council, I think most people know this at this point, but the council has taken a position, as we have in the past and past councils, that we don't support the bridging in Palmetto Bay. I have said, even when I was a councilwoman, in my opinion, and I know this is extremely, I would say that this, even over development, is probably one of the most controversial issues, not just now, but for the past 20 years since we've been a city, and probably even, as I recall, even prior to that, when we were not incorporated, because this has been kind of on the back burner, and it pops up every once in a while. The difference between then and now is we haven't had commissioners, or we haven't had a commissioner for our district that supported it. Now we do. The council is still in opposition to it. We've gone through conflict resolution, mediation. It was a little, we spent a lot of time, and we weren't really getting there was not enough juice for the squeeze, in my opinion. You try and work with the county. I'm not saying they're bad individuals. They're doing their part, right? They've got their folks that they work for, right?
Yeah.
The county attorneys and our attorneys. And November 1st, we made the decision to move on from that. And so we're going to try and conclude. We're going to have a joint commission council meeting coming up. That'll be February 15th for the residents that are interested in learning more about that. As soon as we have something to go out regarding that particular meeting, I'm assuming it will be downtown. We'll let folks know so that they can, at the very least, attend and listen, whether you support or oppose the bridge. I think it's important for people to be informed. That said, this meeting that you just mentioned that we found out about yesterday, might have been the day before.
And it was communicated very quickly by the village. But so you're saying, as of November 1st, the council had said, "Listen, it's
Right.
done."
Right.
Even though we opposed it, it's done. And how does this meeting?
Here was the problem for me, and I've said this publicly. I've said it in small groups. I'm a real big believer in process. If anybody has followed my tenure on council, but also just my professional life, process is very important, right? There is a Florida state statute that we have attempted to. It's very cumbersome, this process, but I wanted to walk us all the way through the process. When we got to the point where we had sent back this was for a letter of understanding with the county, we sent back our list of things we wanted added to this interlocal agreement, and we're not getting a counter proposal. And then they know that we're meeting on November 1st, and we don't have anything to share with the community. We placed it on the agenda. You have to put things on the agenda a week before. You put it on the agenda, and we have nothing to share with the community. At that point, I feel like we're not really, we're operating in good faith, but we're not receiving some of that good faith back. So we met with the TPO the other day. We'll work through that. We asked to just accelerate that to a joint, as part of statute, a joint meeting between the TPO and the Village Council. We have scheduled February 15th, this joint commission council meeting, where we'll see if we can, present our case. And then if not, the village or the council has voted to move forward with litigation.
Got it. Okay. And then as I looked up while you were talking, I did see a couple questions. Can we put those back up and just see if the mayor would like to address? I want to make sure if we're answering any questions that we're kind of talking about new areas that are.
Something from Kevin Jackson. What types of new development are attracted to this new code? What has been approved? That's a great question. So Kevin, I would say probably to tune in to our next council meeting or reach out. Our manager, one of the things that he's done in the past few months is every month he does an update on new applications for the downtown area. So some of them are medical buildings, small apartment complexes, townhomes. We're seeing some businesses trickle in. There's a couple of that I won't be able to talk about that will be on an agenda in the future that'll add some retail, which I think is a very important component, right?
Yeah,
to get some of those
shops.
shops.
All just housing, it doesn't work. It has to be mixed use.
Got a couple of things that have opened up down there. This one project is looking at potentially putting in a restaurant, which I think is something folks would love to see in the village. We've got some great ones, but it's always good to add some
when you have
more,
good, you
more
want
food,
more.
right? Yeah.
Good. And then is there another question that's worth
Hi, Bill. The only thing controversial about 87th Avenue Bridge is that Palmetto Bay's council handling of this very important upgrade to public safety. I appreciate your comment. I know Bill very well, and he's been a very big advocate for the bridge. I recognize that, and he's a good guy. The council's just taken a different position.
Listen, being good or bad is separate from your opinion about a particular issue.
Absolutely.
And if there's respect, you can actually learn from the other side and not have a fight with them. But hey, you know what? Maybe there's somewhere.
Well, I think that's what we're seeing more of, at least on Village Council.
So the next thing I wanted to get into was you have a unique perspective on Palmetto Bay because, as I call it, you have a dashboard. You wake up in the morning and you can look at this dashboard of things that you could do, and no one person can do all of them. So what do you see on your dashboard, and what's your primary focus? Essentially, I'm leading to the question of what mark do you want to leave on Palmetto Bay when somebody looks back on these years and says, Karyn did this. What do you want them to be able to say?
Sure. It's funny. It's something I've been thinking about. Well, we're always thinking about what kind of legacy will we leave behind. We live in such an amazing, kind, caring, compassionate community. I think there is a misperception that you can't be kind, caring, and doing good deeds, if you will, and also making good policy. I think our council is able to do both. At least I know I can do both. So I really am a strong believer that in order to serve community, you have to serve humanity. I mean, we have been through some really difficult times, whether you're a local business in the community, whether you're a resident, whether you're somebody trying to school your children, which I'm sure you guys were trying to do during a pandemic. Senior citizens. So my goal, I think, is to leave the city hopefully in better shape than when I arrived. I won't say that it was in bad shape. I think one of the biggest legacies we can leave behind is sound fiscal standing. And I think we've achieved that with this last budget. My mom was she had a lot of crazy quotes. And so I know residents have heard me say this before.
You're going to give me one of them right now.
I'm going to give you one of them right now. She used to say, if there's an elephant in the room, be riding it. And so, Okay. So, one of the elephants, I think, is the fact that we raised the millage rate this year. Very difficult decision to make, especially during an election cycle. Nobody wants to be pegged with increase in taxes. We did two things that sets the city on very sound fiscal standing. And that was one, we reversed, and not by a 5, it was not unanimous, but reversed the franchise fees. All of the other cities around us, practically every city that has a franchise fee, maintained the percent, 6% was the percentage. We reverted back to the 6%. And then the second piece was we did increase the millage rate less than it used to be, but more than it was. And it's a small increase. I get it. An increase is an increase, but we want to make sure we're able to do the things so that we've got budget for live, we've got budget for work, the number of businesses in an inviting area. We've got a budget for learn, right? We want to have partnerships with our
That's
private
the one that you focus on too.
and public schools. And then we want to have budget for play because we're the Village of Parks. So we want to make sure that we've got park upgrades and our buildings and public facilities look pristine and money in the savings. So
right. I've got about 30 seconds left.
Okay.
I'm going to give it to you. What does Palmetto Bay do to celebrate December and head us in the right direction for 2022?
We're already doing it. This is
Good.
the great part. So, I would just say to folks that are watching and, get accurate information. If you want to know information about housing prices and real estate and its value in Palmetto Bay, reach out to Hal or another realtor. I'm going to plug Hal though, for sure. Reach out to Hal. I'm sorry, Hal.
He has friends, and there are more realtors out there. I understand.
Yeah. If you want to get accurate information on what's going on in the city, reach out to the village manager. Reach out to your council. I think information is power. Knowledge is power. The village is doing great. We've got a very thriving community, and there's a lot of good things going on there. Yeah. So get involved. We've got a lot of committees too. So get involved.
Well, I can tell you, having lived in Palmetto Bay for many, many years, and now buying and selling real estate for people in Palmetto Bay, it is a wonderful community. It does have its ups and downs. There are things that are going to be worked out, but by and large, it's a great place to be. Mayor Karyn Cunningham, thank you so much for stopping by and shedding some light on some of the topics of today. And until next week, have a great week.